Aruna Sharma, the former Steel Secretary, joining us on the show right now. Ms. Sharma, thanks so much for joining in. Like my colleague was just highlighting, steel market has had a tough year. What do you think has been the factor that has had the biggest impact on the Indian steel industry? Has it been trade wars, China's slowdown, or the compression in overall steel prices?
No, I will not say we have compressed the steel prices. It was peaking out and then it has stabilized. So I think the stabilized level is good enough level. It is not a drop in the income. It may be a little cut in the profit margin of it. So it had to stabilize at some level and it has stabilized at the right level. It is not a loss-making proposition even at the present day prices. So it is going quite well. So and the consumption is going up, which is a very bright side of it. The domestic consumption, I think it is increasing at the rate of 7.3 or 7.5. So in a way, the market is growing and the price is stabilized, which is adding to the profits. So it is not like a negative graph which is coming in the steel sector.
Okay. China has had a tough year too, Ms. Sharma, with them showing contraction in manufacturing for the first time since May 2017. So while steel has stabilized, would you be worried about the China impact on Indian steel prices?
See, actually, as far as the Indian market is concerned, now we are producing enough and consuming enough, and this graph will go on parallelly. So we are not so much dependent on what's happening in China or how it is going to impact us, because we are consuming literally 100% of what we are manufacturing. What we are exporting and importing, that negates each other of the total amount. So they are in single digits. So there is not going to be any adverse impact as far as the graph is growing. What is needed is for us to continue making steel and continue in the growth of the infrastructure.
Right. India's steel consumption is expected to stay strong. 7% growth is what analysts have pegged it at. Do you believe this will lead this will largely be influenced by government spending on infra?
So if you look at it, the major infrastructure spending always comes from the government in terms of the roads, bridges, construction. The private sector spending also, the technology is slowly changing to steel intensive building constructions. The private builders are also resorting to it because it's short term consuming, less debris, quick, time is under control. So all that shift which is quickly happening in the Indian real estate construction also is going to add on. And the government will always be the major spender in terms of bridges, roads, rails, ships, ports. So that consumption is also going to go up because India, we have to, as a developing economy, our infrastructure has to be top class. So absolutely, I don't see anything into it. And in fact, there is a big scope of steel getting consumed into the new arenas as well, where you have distribution of irrigation water, where you have a question of having underground sewage, drainage, which is traditional, along with that for the cable laying, if you put it drinking water, then above ground all construction. So all that is going to make a lot of difference in the consumption, and we are on a right path. We are going in the right direction into it.
Right. Well, consumption growth estimates are strong. The worry is with regards to output. How has capacity addition been according to you over the last few years?
Yeah, that is even, see, 134 million tons capacity we had already reached. And now we are reaching more. Like when you see the NCLT resolutions, which has been culminated in a couple of issues and couple of plants, there also they have an expansion plan. Their own existing plants also, there is an expansion plan. The new revival is also coming up. So capacity expansion is bound to happen. It is not falling. I think there is some missing numbers. And if you look at in the secondary sector also, their capacity expansion is increasing. They are improving, they are modernizing, they are moving ahead, and investments they are putting into it. So if you really do hair comb calculations, I see no danger in the capacity expansion at all, because everybody is committed. If you go through their annual reports and their propositions of expansion, I think everybody has an expansion plan in a time-bound manner. So they have started their investments into it. So definitely in a couple of years, 2-3 years, you will start seeing the production of it.
Right. But analysts are worried about dwindling exports and cheaper imports, which is why they're pegging output growth forecasts at only about 2.5 to 3%. Would you agree with that estimate?
Now, if you look at the numbers of exports and imports, they are in single digit, and the difference, if you see, is in decimals. So point something something you will have. And definitely our imports, what we have to seriously work upon is the high-end steel. That is very, very important because high-end steel is something we are not able to make it in India to the required consumption levels. And that is something we have to constantly endeavor as a country. And as a country, we have to expand into it. The capital good market is also increasing, so steel consumption is bound to increase. The manufacturing sector, the steel is again a big contributor. So, and the policy supports is also very strong as far as steel sector is concerned. And specifically coming whether the imports are dwindling, the imports are bound to happen. We are never going to be a zero import country. And the impact it is having is just in decimals. If you have a look at it, the auto steel import has gone up. Yes, I think it is going up unless until we make enough quantity of auto steel within the country. Similarly, the other things in the minor sectors, because of strong BIS standards, so and anti-dumping being very strong, so there is no dumping. So I don't think so any country can say that will be a zero import country. There will be imports always. It's only a question of how we are able to manage the whole thing.
Okay, but steel imports certainly are making a comeback. How would you suggest the return of imports being tackled amidst the trade war scenario?
Look at it this way, like as a citizen and as a country, definitely what is very, very important in this is that our steel manufacturers have to start having technology for high-end steel manufacturing, where our dependency on import is there, and our parallel research, definitely it will take time to yield the results, but this is going to go a long way. And the consumption, India is a bright spot, like no country is growing at the rate of 7+ in the GDP, and therefore the consumption is also going up. So we are a bright spot. We will be a spot where the world will like to export their steel, but we are self-sufficient to manufacture. We have best of the technology. The high end is something we have to handle as soon as we can do. So as a citizen, definitely we will like to see a more and more make in India. And now the capital goods also is doing, so it will consume the steel and make the machinery for Indian manufacturing sector. So in a way we are in a right cycle. So the path is right, it's only that what accelerated speed we go into it, that is going to decide.
How would you look at the current raw material supply scenario, especially iron ore, with the big mines in Karnataka being on a standstill? NMDC has cut its own iron ore prices twice last month, despite the expected shortfall.
See, we have enough iron ore, and NMDC cutting it is also because many of the steel makers are buying the mines. So in the sense they have become who were regular customers of NMDC, they are also will become the extractors of mine and iron ore as they are moving ahead. So that is going to impact on the little bit of production. But having said that, we are also shifting to the scrap manufacture, scrap as an input. So scrap iron ore balance, I don't think so we'll have, and NMDC will produce as much as required. If market is there, there's no reason why they should produce. They will be producing more and more as it moves ahead.
Thanks very much, ma'am, for joining us and giving us those details. We wish you the very best for the future.